that has ever tried to build a car knows the type of thrash you have to do to get it done, and more importantly, get it done right. And the guys, they went above and beyond on our little Fox Body right here. So let's take a look back and see some of the trials we actually went through. We're here at Harriman and West Airport in North Adams, Massachusetts because, well, most of the dragways around here were closed, so what's the next best thing? It's an airstrip, and the beauty of an airstrip is, well, we can get as many runs in as we want in our little Fox. The beauty of this is that we can open the car up, we can run through the gears, and actually see what it's going to do in a controlled environment. So let me tell you something, I am so looking forward to doing this.
Before we let the Mustang loose on the airstrip, let's take a look back at how the project started. The idea behind our Rehab series here at Hemmings was always to find a car with great bones that we could bring into the shop and rehabilitate. In this case, our vehicle of choice was this 5-liter powered 1991 Fox Body Mustang that was free of accidents, modifications, and of course, rust. Did it have some wear and tear on it? Sure. But for a 32-year-old car, it was the perfect candidate for what we had in mind, as the body, the interior, and the drivetrain were all in outstanding condition. What that meant was that when the modifications began, our lives would be easier, as the car wouldn't be fighting us every step of the way. Thus, mods like our ProCharger, the Moser rear end, the cooling system, transmission, and all the aesthetic bits would go in smoothly, which is exactly what happened.
So finally behind the wheel of the Fox, right? You know, we've been talking about building this car for a long time, but one of the biggest things that we wanted to do was we wanted to build it right. We wanted to build it from a period correct perspective. When you think about the formula, what did that entail? Well, when the Foxes came out, you know, they did have this iconic shape, and it really kind of took the world, took them a minute, right? Because you had the Mustangs of the 70s, then you went to the little Pinto Vesgia cars, and everybody was like, eh, and then all of a sudden you had these. The cool part was the V8 was back, and the V8 was back with a vengeance. Good 5-liter. Now, this iteration, 1990, out of the box, 225 horsepower, 300 pound-feet of torque. So when you jumped on it, it actually got up and it moved out of its own way. But now this is 2023, and power levels have increased to the point where you can go out and get a 700 horsepower car right now, and it's fine. I mean, it's not an uncommon thing. We wanted to keep this build in the scope of what you could build in the late 80s, early 90s. So what's the formula for that? Well, honestly, it was pretty simple, right? ProCharger, supercharger, or some kind of power adder under the hood. You had skinnies on the front, big fat meats on the back. The car has a little bit of a rake to it. And of course, you had to have signature details. One of those signature details was this beautiful 2-inch Cal hood. In this case, we got it from Classic Industries. It's vented. It's just a really nice piece, right? We do have some pillar gauges. These came out in the early 90s, but they worked perfectly for what this build is, right? We've got our boost gauge, we've got our fuel pressure gauge, and then the piece de resistance, you gotta have the big tack. You don't have a big tack in a period correct Fox when you're doing a build like this, I don't care what else you do, you lost. You straight out lost. We weren't gonna lose, which is exactly why this tack is where it is. So now, after the blower, right? Think about it. We went back to the dyno shop, put this thing back on the rollers, and all of a sudden, we came out with 306 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque. That is a massive increase. So now, you put your foot down, it goes, and it goes really, really well. I mean, the cool part is, the ProCharger that we have on thing makes 9 pounds of boost, and it just kind of spools the car up. It's not violent in any way, but instead the power delivery is just really linear, and you can see that on the dyno graph. Now, as far as the handling goes, listen, we were running 255s at all 4 corners last time on our old Cobra-esque wheels that we had, the imitation Cobra wheels. Now, with the skinnies in the front, it is no longer a handler. When you have this much sidewall and skinny wheels, sidewall in the back and skinny wheels in the front, you are obviously going to lose any handling you might have, but that's okay because what we did was we lightened the car up a little bit, and now the car really does feel like a factory drag car. The cool part is it's easy to drive. So if I drop it down and I am just sitting here from a dead stop and I'm leaving the car in drive so I can launch, put my foot down, Go, 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 take it off, take it off, take it off. Pulling, 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 pulling. It just feels good. There's no drama here. And that's really a testament to the guys in the shop, to Junior, to Terry, to Brian, to Glenn. Everything that they've done when it comes to wrenching on this thing made it so that you could still get in it and that you could drive the car every day. And that's what you want. The other thing that I want to mention is that, when we're talking about speed, when we're talking about flat out speed, you can go out and buy a 1,000 horsepower car if you want. That doesn't mean it's any more fun, okay? A car like this is the perfect car that you would use for bracket racing, which means you would go to the light, you would dial in your time, and then you would cut it. It's not like you're gonna have that much more fun. I mean, listen, power is power, and it's always fun when you put your foot down and there's theater and you spin the tires and stuff, but there's also a lot of skill involved. Now, as you can see, we've got some moisture around on the windows and stuff. It is raining, so we can't go bananas with this thing, but we can give you enough of an idea that we can test the car and make you know what it feels like to drive these cars. Foxes in and of themselves are inherently super comfortable cars. You could drive them all day. The other thing is we still have the old wheels. So say if you wanted to turn this back into a street car and run your street tires, you could just take the big fatties and the skinnies off, put the stock wheels back on, and then drive it wherever you want. It really came out to be a beautiful package. The other part I want to talk about is this B&M valve body. So how does this work? Well, with the original transmission, you kind of had to cheat second gear by starting off at first, putting it into second, which would then shift into third. You would then have to put it back into first, which would then go into second. I don't know if that makes sense, but think about it. With the B&M shifter, the cool part is I can take off, right? I'm in first gear, so I could do a launch like this, ratchet up, boom. Second, hold second, hold second, hold second, boom. Ratchet up, third gear. So right now, it is difficult to show you the flat out performance of this thing only because it's raining out, right? If it was dry, we'd be doing hard launches and really kind of spooling this thing up. We're on a runway, it's a little bit slick, there's water out, but we really wanted to give you an idea what the Mustang was like with the modifications. Now, when you talk about cost to do a project like this, the cost on something like this is right around, with the purchase price of the car, a little over $30,000, right? You're talking about the cost of the supercharger, the wheels and tires, all the upgrades that we did with the brakes, the electronics, and things of that nature. The other part you have to think about is the labor. If you can do the labor by yourself, then you are so far ahead of the game. I mean, we were very fortunate. We had a team of 5 people that just jumped on this thing and knocked it out of the park. However, if you can do labor yourself, 30 grand all in, plus the price of a car, is not bad for something that's gonna make you smile this much. Okay, so we're on a runway in a Mustang with slicks on it, with a ProCharger under the hood, the skinny tires on the front. Drop my B&M shifter into first gear, look at the gauges, they're all here. All right, well, see what it does. Ready? All right, let's do this. 1, whoa, 2, holy shit. Ooh, okay, so hard launches in the rain on drag slicks. Surprisingly a decent amount of traction out of the gate, and then we got a little water underneath them, and we got a little sideways, and that's not fun. I mean, it's kind of fun, but it's not the kind of fun you have when you really want to do these things. But much more traction than I thought. The nice part, again, runway, not too terrible. Even if we spin out, there's nothing to hit, famous last words, but I think we're okay. Let's go back and do it again and see if I can pedal this thing a little more, and that we might be able to get a good run. I don't think we're gonna run a full quarter mile, which we did measure, by the way, so getting a time, I wouldn't bet on that. But again, let's have some fun with this little pony, see what it can do, and hell, even in the rain, why not, right? So I'm actually not gonna use the ratchet shifter right now. I'm gonna leave it in drive and just pedal it a little bit and see if that works and we get a little less wheel spin. So, ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Sticking, 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 sticking. Dancing, sticking, sticking, dancing, sticking, dancing. It's kind of fun, but I really wish that we had a full-blown dry track so we could check this thing out. Rain and drag slicks, folks, not the best combination you can have. It definitely moves around a lot. What I can say is this: the increased power of this thing makes a massive difference. We did some test runs with it yesterday just on the street, and you have to figure if you're making 306 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque at the wheels, you're making close to 400 or over at the crank. Figure 15-18% driveline loss with the AOD in here. That is a beautiful street number. That is a beautiful number that you can go out and you can play, and you're not going to get into that much trouble. Where when you start doing like hard stuff with that 700-800 horsepower, it's so tough to manage on the street. Where this is just a great combination. We're gonna try it one more time. Again, I'm gonna leave this thing in drive. And you know what? I'm not gonna leave it in drive. I got a shifter. I got a valve body. I'm gonna do this. Pedal it a little bit. All right. Okay, hit it. Go. Kick it. Woo! Stay in it. It's just sliding. Stay in it. Come on, you son of a bitch. Woohoo! Ah. I mean, it's fun. It's definitely fun. Man. Don't try this at home, boys and girls, unless, of course, you have a runway and a crew and a trailer and, well, I don't know, everything you need just in case stuff goes south. So there are going to be a lot of people out there that are going to say, why did you build this car? You could have gone out and for what you spent, I don't know, bought something that was faster or whatever the case, and really get an idea of reliving some of those memories as we were kids. These cars ruled the streets when we were in New York, in Queens, in Brooklyn, on Long Island. You know, Fox bodies were everywhere. You either had a Fox, you had an IROC, or if you had some money, you had a GN. If you had a GN, you pretty much embarrassed everybody. But they're great. They're great. And the other part is 100% drivable, super comfortable. Listen, the Fox is a perfect first V8 muscle car just to have some fun with and get into the muscle car hobby. Fast enough that you can spin the tires at will. With enough mods like we did, you can make it into a real street cruiser. So let's do one more, shall we? All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. On it. Come on, you son of a bitch. Stay in it. Come on. Woo! Not gonna lie, it's still fun. Even in the wet, it's still really fun. Go out and buy yourself a Fox Body before they get too expensive and you can't afford them anymore, folks, because these cars are a hoot. They are just a hoot. So after a bunch of sketchy runs, I think we're going to call it, because it's just way too wet to keep doing this in a safe manner or a semi-safe manner. But what did we learn? Well, we learned a couple of things. Slapping a ProCharger on a Fox Body makes a massive difference. You know, big fat meats on the back, a little bit of a rake, some skinny tires in the front. You have that nostalgia look, you have that nostalgia feel, and we've achieved our goal with this car. You know, 3, having our fun accessories. And when I say fun accessories, do you need a massive 4-inch tack? Do you need pillar gauges? Do you need them? No, but my God, do they add to the look and feel of this thing, and they really just kind of make it fun. You know, the car itself has been great. You know, everybody just comes together. And this is a fun project. You know, what you saw was a bunch of guys that were basically in their late 40s and their early 50s reliving high school. And we took a long time in the garage, 12, 14-hour days to build this thing. But you know what? It was great. We laughed, we giggled like school kids. Nobody argued, nobody did anything, and it was one common goal, and that goal was to build just a nostalgia Fox Body from the late 80s, early 90s, and we did that. Guys, thanks for watching. Remember, hit that like and subscribe button, because Hemmings has an enormous amount of new content coming to you in 2024 and beyond. And when I tell you an enormous amount, I am not kidding. You're going to see more muscle. You're going to see sports and exotics. You're just going to, we have a melange of stuff that's coming your way. So guys, thanks for watching Fox Body Rehab. Share with your friends. We'll talk to you all soon.